Hello, my friends. Welcome back. It's been a little bit longer than I would have liked, just for things going on. Things got a little bit busy, but back again with two truths and one lie. This time it is contact sport orientated. My background, my experience is mostly in rugby. Growing up, I played a lot of rugby. I played football as well. I've recently gotten into boxing, and the contact element of sports is really interests me, and how you can condition your body to better fare with that. So whether it's with rugby, whether it's with boxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu, anything like that, it's very interesting to me. So I wanted to explore this a little bit more and begin to find different niches. So let's get into it. The three questions that I posed were: strong neck muscles can help reduce the risk of concussion in contact sports. Agility training is just as important as strength training for contact sport athletes. And the biggest and strongest athletes always dominate in the contact sports. Okay. Now, it was a really interesting pool of results this time, because most of the time people have been able to spot the lie, or most of the time. The two previous times people have been able to spot the lie. This time it was a little bit more difficult, and I don't know if it was from a lack of knowledge, or maybe it was just guesswork. I don't know. But the first truth is that strong neck muscles can help to reduce the risk of concussion in contact sports. And why that is because a stronger neck, it helps to absorb and dissipate the forces. So I don't know the full intricacies of it, but concussion happens when your brain almost rattles around in your skull. And so if you have a stronger neck to kind of mitigate the whiplash of whether it's a tackle in rugby or a punch or what have you, then you have a better chance of reducing the risk of concussion. A lot of sports that I've seen, whether it's rugby, boxing, even American football, they do a lot of neck strengthening exercises, because there's a big impact towards the head or around the head area. So if you can strengthen the neck, then it does in fact mitigate the possibility of concussion. It doesn't prevent concussion, it's not the cure, but it definitely does help to reduce it. It's something that I've done with my own training. I've tried sort of isometric holds, different movements, twisting, nodding, back and forth, and I've found it helps. I sometimes wake up some mornings, if I've not trained my neck for a while, my neck's a little bit stiff from when I sleep, but if I consistently train my neck, then that pain goes away. So a strong neck really does help, not just for if you're doing your contact sports, but just if you sleep in awkward positions like me. Now, 33% of people that voted in this poll thought that was the lie. And I think the specific language is it helps reduce the risk of concussion. It doesn't prevent, okay? It does not prevent, but it can help to reduce. So that's the important part there, okay? The second truth was agility training is just as important as strength training for contact sport athletes. And if you think about it, whether it's rugby or American football, a lot of the time, like the part of the game it's an evasion game, right? It's to avoid getting hit, or avoid getting tackled. So if you can be quick and agile and what have you, and have a swift change of movement, then you will not get hit, you will not get caught, you will not get tackled, and so then you will be better at the evasion game than others. So yeah, you know, training your agility, it's going to improve your ability to dodge opponents or even reposition yourself defensively. You know, it allows you to work on your balance as well. If you're constantly going through those kind of sideways, quick sideways motions, you'll be able to keep your balance in that. And so again, you know, I use rugby and I use American football as examples there, but even in boxing or jiu-jitsu or MMA, again, if you have better footwork and you're more agile, you can get in and out a lot quicker. So your attack and your defense is better because your footwork is better. I've found myself, and you know, I've been boxing for a year and a half, and I'm still a total rookie. But I love the process of it. And you know, you come up against some guys when you're kind of sparring, and it tends to be the guys who have the better footwork are the better boxers. You know, because you could have really fast hands, but it's not all about throwing those hands. It's about kind of changing angles, moving into the right space at the right time, and that starts from the ground up. So if you've got fast feet, you'll be able to move around a lot easier. Sorry. And what was really interesting about that is 50% of people that voted in this thought that was the lie. Which maybe it was misread. Maybe the poll was misread, but I did say spot the lie. But yeah, or perhaps the thought behind, you know, contact sports is you need to be strong to be able to withstand the contact. It's like, well, I was a back when I played rugby, and the mindset is very much, if you're quick enough and you don't have to get tackled, then don't get tackled. So yeah, so that was really interesting to see that 50% of people who voted in this poll thought that was the lie. The actual lie got the lowest number of votes for this poll. It was 17%. So that's why I'm maybe thinking that it was misread, it was misinterpreted. People maybe were picking what they thought was true over what they thought the lie was. And that's the biggest and strongest athletes always dominate in contact sports. Now, I did a little bit of research because particularly in rugby union, we don't need to go that far back. We don't need to go back to the 1900s. If we look at the difference in the 1980s and 1990s, okay, this was just before the game of rugby became professional. The game of rugby became professional in about 1995, around about the time where South Africa won the World Cup. That was when they started bringing in more training and more, they started controlling more variables. So yeah, 1980 to 1990s, okay, just over 40 years ago. The average weight of a forward was between 100 and 110 kilos, and the average weight of a back was 80 to 90 kilos, okay? Now, modern era, that has increased from the forwards being 100 to 110 to the forwards being around 115 to 130 kilos, okay? And backs going from, 80 to 90 kilos to 95 to 105 kilos, okay? So in 40 years, that's a huge increase in weight, in mass specifically. But it's not just the forwards, it's the backs as well. So don't get me wrong, strength and size is always a big part in the modern game of rugby. Let's use rugby. Okay, it's a big part of the game of rugby. Like I said before, if you have a stronger neck, you can mitigate the possibility of injuries. If you have stronger shoulders, same again. If you have stronger legs, you can have an increased leg drive. All of it. But there are many positions, in particularly in rugby, that encompass all different shapes and all different sizes. Okay, one of the best wingers in the world right now, Cheslin Kobe, the South African guy, he's very small. He is very small. I'm just going to have a look at what his size is. He's 1.7 meters, 5'7". Okay, so that's very small, and he only weighs 75 kilos. Okay, so he is small. He's little. Okay, but he is one of the most dominating players in world rugby right now. You know, going to another sport, look at Floyd Mayweather, right? He wasn't particularly tall. He was what, again, 5'8", 5'9", but he was lightning quick. He was technically so proficient and so sound, and there's a reason why he's one of the greatest in the sport. So it's not always the biggest and strongest athletes that dominate in these contact sports. It's the reason why I really like these contact sports is because you have to find that perfect balance between speed and strength and kind of form it together into power. You know, you don't want to be too strong because then you lose your speed. You don't want to be too fast because you lose your strength. And it's a really interesting way to really blend the two together. And when I work out myself, or I work with people who are trying to do that, I really enjoy going through the process of developing their power, because then they just become fearsome. They just become fearsome. Like, you know, if you see somebody who's big and strong on the rugby pitch, but they've not got any speed to them, there's not really, you know, there is a threat because they're strong, but there's almost a thing that's like, okay, I can tackle him because there's not an awful lot of possibility that even if he does get past me, we could probably get back up and catch him. Same on the other side is if you have somebody who's very slight and very quick and very agile, it's okay, but if I get hold of him, it's done. Whereas if you have somebody who's big and fast, that's a completely different kettle of fish. And you know, it's as much of a mental thing as a physical thing. You see somebody like that running towards you, like, shit, okay, I've got my work cut out for me. So yeah, so it's not always the biggest and strongest athletes that dominate in the sport. Really interesting the split of opinion with that. You know, 33% of people thought it was about strong necks, 50% of people thought it was strength work over agility work, and only 17% thought that the biggest and strongest always dominate in contact sports. So really interesting. I'd like to do another one like this. I'm going to come up with something different the next time though. Maybe go into the realms of flexibility, or maybe some power or some endurance, or something specific to do with training. I wanted to explore this contact athlete stuff a little bit, and I will come back to it. But yeah, really interesting. Really interesting. Doing a bit of research on, particularly, like I say, rugby's my thing. So how it's changed, how the game of rugby itself has changed over time. People are getting stronger, but people are going to get faster because their strength and conditioning's more dialed in. Nutrition and their recovery. There's been rule changes as well, which mean that the game is faster paced. And so all of that creates a demand for a specific kind of individual to play the game. So yeah, really interesting. It's something that kind of gets the cogs turning a little bit more in the peanut. Speaking of peanuts, I didn't address the elephant in the room. I have had a haircut. I'm probably going to keep it like this. May even go shorter with it because it's kind of looking like a tennis ball right now. Yeah, we'll see. But thank you very much for watching. If you like that, subscribe. Trainmore97 on, again, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. If you have any requests, shout out to Robbie. Robbie, if you're watching this, man, I'm thinking about you. he's somebody who has messaged me and given me a couple of suggestions with regards to what I could explore, how I can structure my videos to make them a bit more informative. I love that. I love having a bit of feedback. You know, he's one of my closest friends since we were like 7, 8 years old. A fellow sportsman himself. Love you long time, brother. Love you long time. Yeah, he's somebody. He gave me a message and said, you know, a couple of suggestions with regards to how I can set up and make these videos better. So I'm over time, hopefully going to be putting some of those things in place. But if anybody else is watching this and they would like to do the same, by all means, just give me a message. You know, whether you have my phone number or any of the aforementioned social medias works as well. Okay, so thank you very much for your time. I've got some green tea I'm gonna drink on and enjoy, and I will see you in the next one.